Welcome to Movie Night with the Boys.
Hi, welcome to Movie Night with the Boys. I'm John,
I'm Zach.
and tonight we are going to discuss Triple Frontier from 2019. That was directed by J.C. Chandor, and it stars Ben Affleck as Tom Redfly Davis, Oscar Isaac as Santiago Pope Garcia, Charlie Hunnam as William Ironhead Miller, Pedro Pascal as Francisco Catfish Morales, and Garrett Hedlund as Ben Miller. I didn't think he got a nickname, did he? It was just Benny.
Yeah, Benny. It was Benny Miller.
Yeah, I think that was. And the only person I had listed for a supporting cast was Adria Arjona, and she played Giovanna the Informant, although I'm pretty positive they never actually say her name. I don't recall ever hearing it. But in the wiki, it says Giovanna is her name, so that's her name.
But they also never said everybody else's last name, so.
Yeah, that's... No, they said Miller. They said Miller. Because when they introduced the Miller, they...
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, they didn't say...
Davis and Garcia.
Yeah.
And Morales. Yeah, just the wiki. I read it for consistency, and of course that's what I get is a full thing that's never brought up at all. So the synopsis of the movie is a group of former special forces operatives get together to plan a heist in a low population area of South America. We find out it's Colombia. For the first time, these operatives are doing something that's dangerous for themselves rather than country. What starts off as a heist becomes a battle for survival. I gotta say, before we get into this movie, I felt wicked Grand Theft Auto vibes when they got into the actual heist. I don't know if you noticed it, but it was like Cayo Perico. But I guess we'll get there when we get there.
Not at all.
Really? You didn't get that vibe out of it?
No, because Grand Theft Auto is a trash game.
Oh, you're a hater.
I'm not a hater. Trust me, I played that game much more than you.
It has its downsides. I used to hate it too.
I know what I'm talking about.
I used to hate it too.
This movie is more in tune with a game like Ghost Recon.
Well, you'd know that better than I would. I don't. To my recollection, I only played it briefly, and I didn't get into it very long. So it is story time, and I'm gonna try to paraphrase because I did take a lot in on this one, so I might do jumps here and there. If I miss anything important, we'll jump back on it, but I'm gonna try to avoid that. The movie opens up with the Miller being introduced. Sorry, not Miller because there's two of them. Billy Miller, I'm gonna call him. Billy being introduced to speak about his experience.
His name is William. They never once called him Billy.
I know, but I wrote Billy to save time. Because writing out William is a little bit more cumbersome than just writing out Billy or Bill.
I don't know. I wrote this by hand, and all my notes say William.
Well, we each have different tracks here, but that's okay. The point will still be delivered all the same.
Everybody's gonna be like, "Who the fuck is Billy?"
If anyone doesn't know that Billy is short for William, they must live under a rock. All right, so the movie opens up with Miller being introduced to speak about William Miller being introduced to speak about his experience, frankly, about his experience in the military. Sorry, I wrote that twice for some reason. He was introduced to speak about his experience in the military, frankly. He says, about 5 years ago, when I was on leave, I found myself in a cereal aisle at Publix with my arm around some guy's throat. I was squeezing so hard, he pissed himself. My fiance at the time had to climb on my back so I didn't actually kill the guy. Do you know why I was doing this? Because he hadn't moved his cart when I asked. I was the best of the best, able to shut down, control, and manipulate all basic human instincts towards one goal, the completion of my mission. But the effects of committing extreme violence and on other human beings are biological and physiological. That's the price of being a warrior. I'm not going to do that for the whole movie, but I felt that quote was pretty relevant to what happens in the movie, and it seemed kind of to be so after the fact because a lot of shit happened in the movie, at least to these 5 guys. So this,
Not
huh?
at all. Not at all. It's
I felt
extremely
that they did a
irrelevant.
lot of shit in that movie.
They didn't do fuck all. They killed 12 people throughout the whole movie. Like, this movie was actually really bad.
Yeah, a lot of people would have to agree. I think it didn't look very good on the scores. I didn't mind it. It's not something I'd go out of my way to watch again, but we'll get into all that later. I did like the soundtrack. That next scene opened up with Metallica's "For Whom the Bell Tolls." Pope was listening to that. They land in some kind of like a shanty town in Colombia. It's all shacks. Looks like, just like a village almost. He's going to take people out of a building. He looks like he's actually trying to help people coordinate and take people out of that building that suddenly started playing music for some reason when they got there. They surrounded the building, and then an RPG launches out of the building, blows up one of the trucks. Pope then leaves his high ground that he was in, looking over the whole thing, and runs to another spot. Takes the guy's gun, presumably because he shoots a grenade at the spot where the RPG came out, and then all of a sudden he's giving it back and says "nice shot," which kind of confused the hell out of me. But he blows up the front of the building. They go over there. They look inside. There's police there. They're taking some people out of the building in cuffs, or I think it's actually zip ties throughout the whole movie. And they're interrogating some prisoners that are on their knees. One guy says, "Just take the money." It's like $400,000 or some shit. And then another guy says, "What about Laredo?" And he's the protagonist or the antagonist of the movie that we don't really get to see for like half the movie, and then he ends up, you know, um, so he says where he knows where he is or some shit like that. He's in the jungle, and then another guy is asked to confirm it, and he spits on the guy's foot. Then Pope leaves the room, and it's pretty much implied that they get the shit kicked out of them, the prisoners, and then each of them are executed. The other guy, who's known as Diego, comes out and says, "Does anyone else want to talk about their boss or assault a police officer?" And you get a kind of a close up on the girl that's in the room. They take all the people that are in their room. They walk them out to a prisoner's truck, and as the woman's about to get on the truck, she breaks out and runs away. Pope takes chase for her. He sends other people around another way, chases her down an alley. You can see he's struggling to get upstairs, which you don't really know anything about that at that point. He gets up. He never actually catches up with her, and she runs away. No one catches up with her. And then he says he loses her, and then he tells him he's lost. So that happened, and then he hops on a taxi, and
What do you mean he's lost?
when he calls up, so he calls up the people, the agency that he's working with, and he tells them that he's lost. Right after he stops chasing her, he's looking. I thought he was in familiar territory. It looked pretty much the same as where he was prior, but it's figured out as to why he says that after the fact. He takes he hops on the back of a taxi. Then he goes down an alley. He takes off his gear. He throws it behind like a piece of metal on a wall, and he goes into this building. And lo and behold, you find the girl that he was chasing. Turns out she was his informant, and she's been working as such for like 3 years or something like that, if I'm remembering the number correctly. And why were you at this raid? This raid was supposed to happen later. My brother, I was warning him to try to get out of there. The raid happened early. You could have been killed. He's an idiot. He should have never gotten involved. He goes and sits down, and she says, "What if I could get to Leroux? What if I can get to his money?" And he says, "If you have something to say, you got to say it right now." and she says, "I've been driving a van with his money in for the last 3 months. I know where he is. I know where his money is." Um, and then she says that the guy that Laredo pays way too much to the guy who hired Pope to watch him chase his own tail, is what I got out of that, the way she worded it. So it's like that they're paying essentially to keep him off of the trail of Laredo or Larea. And so then she says, "But now this is an opportunity for you to do something about it." And then we get the title card. I didn't really have much on that whole thing. I don't know about you did on that scene, but that was kind of just like your standard shooting scene, right?
Basically, yeah. Like, infiltrate, extract information,
Yeah.
and kill all the witnesses.
Yeah, it was like a planted scene from another movie. The more I think about it, the more this movie is like a genetic ripoff of like Mission Impossible meets like a James Bond or something, where they just or a Jason Bourne movie.
You're getting these totally mixed up. Like, those are all single protagonist movies. This is a team movie. This is a military movie. This is not a heist movie.
I know, and despite it being one of the
That's what you keep trying to compare it to. It's not a spy movie. It's not a heist
no,
movie.
no, but like the scenes in those kind of movies, but like I constantly see movies like that with guys running across rooftops, and I kind of get that same feeling in this chase scene with the alleyways. Obviously, much less rooftop, but the chases just seemed typical.
That's
I guess
just
is the best way to
that's
put it.
just that's just the that's just the environment in South America. It's
Yeah.
easy to most of the houses and stuff are built on hills. So
Yeah, yeah, that's fair, I guess. I wasn't talking about like the hills and stuff. I was more just like the standard. It was like another standard chase scene from any other movie, is what I'm getting at. Like a person chasing another person. That's what it felt like to me at that point. At that point, but
the only note I have is I was like, this chick is fast as fuck.
yeah, well, I don't know if you saw, but when he was running up the stairs, he showed like weakness in his knees. He was starting to slow down, and then that gets talked about later.
No, but he was just like he was
He
sending
wasn't.
everybody away
Yeah.
from them.
No, I know it was probably more intentional than not. So after the title card shows up, when she says that now's your chance to do something about it, um, you go back to Miller for the second part of his little compelling speech. He says your government has put a lot of time, money, and training into all of you, and it does not want to lose that investment. Over the next few weeks, you'll be bombarded with offers to take your skill set and use them in the private sector. I was suckered into the same thing. That's what I'm here to say. That I have never had a feeling as pure or proud as completing a mission with our flag on my shoulder. Stay where you belong. Pope and Miller see each other. They hug. He says that he's done the speech 173 times. And that's the first time you find out that Miller is a counting freak. I guess he keeps count of everything in his life, legitimately. They go over the text. He says he'll do it if you can get Redfly, who is Tom Ben Affleck's character. He says he feels like you owe them, and then he goes off, and apparently you find that going from being a military trained special ops person to a realtor isn't easy. I mean, he still looks like he's like 300 pounds of straight up muscle, so I don't understand why he would even think that's a good idea. But so he fails to sell the condo. He goes outside. He finds Pope sitting outside waiting for him. He tracked him down. He offers him a job, saying he's going to give him $17,000 guaranteed for recce. I think recce stands for reconnaissance, but I've never heard it be said as recce before. So he says he's retired. And then he says, Pope says that it's about Larea and how he's going to try to get him for, he's been trying, but now he actually can. They leave together. They said they're going to talk about it more. They go to Benny's fight, but first they have to go get Tess, who is Red's daughter. I'm just going to call him Red. I'm not going to call him Redfly. They go to get Red's daughter, and there's a bill on the fridge. I guess he's responsible for all the alimony along with all the bills and taking care of the girls. Seems like a stressful divorce situation. As they're driving away, Red just starts talking openly about the whole plan right in front of Tess, and she's got her headphones in, so he thinks that she's not paying attention. Pope's like, "Oh, do we want to talk about this in front of her?" Not paying attention, blah blah blah. They go over the whole thing about trying to figure out if it's worth the 25%, how they got to get paid. It's a shell company thing, the usual spaz for that stuff that would happen. It's always a shell company. It's always an LLC, stuff like that. Then Red goes to a store really quick. Tess has basically overheard the whole thing and says, "Are you gonna get him to go back to work? He hasn't done shit since he retired." She basically says that he's just not doing anything, but not saying it. And then he drops her off at school after dropping Pope off somewhere. I think he's at the gym or wherever the hell Benny and Fish were at. He drops off Tess at school. He says, "I love you," and she says that she misses him. I don't know how to feel about that response, but if my kid ever said that they missed me, I'd probably break down and cry on the spot. We pick back up with Pope. He's at the gym with William for Benny's fight. Then out comes, after they talk for a few seconds about the whole ordeal, Benny comes in with Fish, and you meet Fish for the first time. You meet Benny for the first time. Benny is William's younger brother, and Fish is their pilot. You find out that Fish's license has been suspended later on, but first he asks about the texts and says if anyone's interested in going. Most people are kind of not on the subject at that point in time. They're more focused on Benny's fight, and they kind of just say, "Let's deal with the fight." So they go to start and walk towards the ring, and Pope's still on it, and he comes up and he says, "Come on, Benny, you're in with me, right?" And he goes, "Of course I'm in with you. I'll go wherever you go." And he says, "That's my boy." They get to the fight. Benny goes into the ring. They all sit down, and Red joins up with them after the fact. They're all sitting there talking about it. Fish is still kind of iffy on it, but then he says, "Okay." Asks when they're leaving. They said be leaving Thursday. I think that then Red says, "So I've read it over, and the only thing I have to question is your entry plan." And they discuss it, and they figure it out. And they say, Red says no live fire, and they all agree to go in. So the crew goes to Columbia, does some recon at Lorea's family. Oh, sorry, I missed the one thing that happened after the fact. As the fight's about to start, Benny gets punched in the face, assumingly, and then it goes to the next scene, which I don't know why they even bothered with that. I guess to add impact to the end of the scene. So the crew gets down to the Brazilian jungle, and they do some recon on Loreas' facility. They find that security is weak, and that they have his family is there as well. One of them, Fish, is like, "I don't want to do this. This family's going to be involved. That's not the whole point." I think Pope says that the best day is Sunday morning because they're very religious people. They go to church, but he won't leave his money, so he doesn't go to church. He sends the family to church with a guard. I guess most of his guards. And then Giovanna is walking through the facility after dropping off money, and you find out later that she's taking pictures. Or video. Actually, I think it was video. So they,
Well, yeah.
besides,
Pope said he was sending her in to recon the inside of the house.
yeah. But I don't think it specified that she was doing video or audio or anything like that till later on.
Well,
Billy is forced to watch.
You see her filming while she's walking around the house.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty implied.
The camera in her bag, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty implied. William has to watch. Yeah,
Detective.
something like that. I thought it was a mine. So they say it's time to get up and get out after they've gotten what they need, and they're talking over shots. They agreed that Sunday's the best day. William asked Pope when he's going to present to the agency. He says he's not sure he wants to because he thinks they can do it themselves. Then they start asking questions about how they got money. He said it was through an LLC. It's complicated. Red says it's not complicated. And then they accuse him of lying. Oh, no, sorry. Then they go outside and he says that he paid them himself. They accuse of him lying about the job because about the agency. They think that the agency's not really there or something. But he didn't lie about the fact that he believes that they would be successful, and he didn't lie about the job and the specifics of the job with Larea and the money. So after a rousing speech, they agree that it would work if they work it out the right way. So they all say they're on board. Little after that, you get to like a fish market, and Pope meets the informant there. He tells her that he needs an extra van, and if he can get her the extra van, he'll get her brother out and give them a new life and $2 million, which I feel like that's reasonable, yeah. $2 million for a van? Sure. Next, they get to a bay or a dock. I'm assuming it's like a shipping dock. There's a bunch of cargo containers. Find out that Pope has a bunch of weapons that he's sourced locally to make it weapons and ammunition to make it look like a local gang was the people that were robbing El Rubio, Larea. Then Pope shows the picture of Larea with the money, and then the video. William confirms that they'll have a plane or a helicopter of some kind, as long as they pay the $3 million. Red goes outside. Then Pope comes out and they talk for a minute. Red says he's going to be in all the way. He can't really find himself not doing it at this point. All he has is the girls, and he has no way of taking care of them, so he's kind of in for that. Plus, he feels better every time he handles a gun, and that's about the only time he feels better, I guess, since he's retired. I think I've actually heard that from military guys before. Then Red, so they go back into the cargo container. Red paints out the whole picture, says, look, there's a couple rules. We're not going to hurt the family. If they're there, we're out, all done. This is a choice. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And if you want to leave, you'll be the better man amongst us all. And no one gets up and goes, so they all agree to do it, and they set the time. They're going to do Sunday morning at 3 a.m., which I guess it's a good time to start a quote-unquote heist. 3 in the morning. So they go to the next scene, which is heist day. They're waiting for the family to leave. It's raining out. One of them says, usually if it's raining, my father would say, if it's raining, that means that God don't need us at church. Then someone quotes Mark Twain and says something like, you don't go to heaven for the something, and you go to heaven for something, and you go to hell for the company. I forget what the heaven for something was. So they work this whole scene really quick. They first take out 2 guards with a just quick choke, and then they come up to a 3rd guard as they're going through the house. He comes out and catches them, so they shoot him in the leg, which obviously alerted anyone else in the house, which I think they said that would have been it, right? There was only 3 guards. So that would have been the only other person would have been Larea. So they shoot him in the leg. They bat him all 3 up, and then they go to the security room to destroy the hard drives because no one wants the evidence. So they're looking around, and after a minute, they seem to not find the money or Larea. Then Red calls to everyone and says, "Get into the office." They all get there, and they collectively think they've been fucked over. Pope notices the fresh paint, and then we're reminded for about the 30th time that the house is the safe, and then he starts busting the walls, and you find the biggest cache of money I've ever seen in a movie, at least to my recollection. And they start busting the walls out, and it's like 10 minutes of just busting walls for them for some reason. I felt like that whole scene was a little too long.
That's
It,
part of the that's part of the purpose of the scene. They're supposed to be overwhelmed and they're supposed to become greedy and want to just keep taking and taking, which sets them back, which causes the conflict of the movie. Like
yeah, well, yeah,
that's the purpose of it.
I get it. They could have. Well, we won't get into it. So that when the walls start crumbling down, you see that there's millions and millions upon millions of dollars. Once Red sees it, he seems to be the one that's most enamored by it. He kind of seemed fixated on it more than anybody else. I mean, they were all excited about it at first, but then Benny comes in and says it's time to go, and he's like, "We can get more." And then Benny's like, "I've never seen you miss a heart out after 10 years." And then William says, "Fuck it, we need to go." But before they go, Pope wanted to do a last sweep for Larea because that was his main goal the whole time was to make sure that Larea was taken care of. I lost my spot. Oh yeah, so they're going through the house. They go to Lorea's bedroom. They search around. They say they got nothing. They open up his wardrobe. There's nothing in there. And as they turn around, the wardrobe opens up to show a panic room. And Lorea shoots out. He only gets off a couple, like 3 shots before they shoot him in the chest. And then Pope goes over and puts a bullet in his head. And you find out that William got shot in the side, but it went straight through, so they shouldn't have any real long-term problems with it, I guess. Again, a military thing that I'm not too privy on, but I believe it's better for it to go all the way through. And
That's a medical thing, not a military thing.
well, you don't. I associate bullet wounds like that to military more than. Well, I suppose it should be more medical than military, but I got military first for some reason.
The fact that there's nothing lodged inside of his body.
Oh yeah, no surgery to remove it.
No, clean through and through, so they can easily just clot the wound and keep it moving.
Patch him up and carry on. After you find out that he's been shot, a couple seconds later, they patch him up. The first set of guards are back, so they have to fight their way through. They said we're going to keep a head count to make sure that we don't miss anybody and don't make any more mistakes. So they take out the first set of guards quick, and then they start to put lighter fluid all over the place to burn it down as they leave. They get outside with a fully loaded van.
They were
And
putting down lighter fluid since they
got into the room.
No, since they left the room with the money. They were
Didn't
like Ben Affleck was putting lighter fluid down on the ground when Lorraine came out of the hidden room.
in the bedroom, yeah, that's what I thought. I was gonna say he started doing it in the bedroom, but they really kind of like kept going after the fact.
He was putting lighter fluid across the whole house. Like he was doing it as they entered the room, continued pouring it all over the room, and then Lorraine came out.
Yeah.
That was the whole plan. They were gonna burn the house down.
So they easily eliminate all the guards, and they continue to pour lighter fluid all over the place so they can continue the plan of burning the building down. They get outside, and there's more guards obviously coming. They take care of all of them really quick, and then they get out. And they took 2, right? They took 2 vans. Yeah. They took the second car so they can obviously all fit because the first one was full of money. They pick up Benny, and he's all pissed off when he gets to the car, and he says that's not how they work. This is too messy. I don't understand why he thought it was a good idea to drive down the street with his window open.
I mean, I think window open or closed. I don't think those cars were tinted, so you would have seen them.
I guess maybe. I mean, I guess I don't know. If they were, it would have been a better idea.
I don't know why the kid lowered his window like that. That was pointless.
What's going on? So they get away. They get to the airfield, and Giovanna, I keep calling her Giovanna again because of the Wikipedia. The informant is waiting with her brother. So the first plane shows up. and it's just a little dingy plane that no one's going to be able to get on. And dude comes out and says, "You got the money." He gives him the money, says you can count it. He radios in and says you can come, and then a big ass helicopter flies in. They're weighing the money on a scale while the helicopter's coming, and I guess it weighs over 6,000 pounds, which Fish says, if that's accurate, it's about $250 million. But they wouldn't be able to carry over 6,000 pounds because of the fly altitude. Excuse me. Ooh, sorry. Because the plane or the helicopter couldn't carry over 2,000 feet, over 6,000 pounds. And they would need to fly over the Andes, which I looked up, and at its highest peak is 22,838 feet. So that would have been a rough ride.
It was.
Yeah, clearly. And then Fish says they can make it. But I thought I could tell right there that he didn't mean it anyways. He was just saying it to make someone happy. So they get on the helicopter. It's choppy. They keep it low as long as they can. They get to Peru to drop off the informant and her brother. Pope leaves them with $3 million and new visas to go live and tickets to go to Sydney, Australia. And then Red's line of questioning kind of really messed me up a little bit. First, he asked if she knew his name, and then he asked if she knew Pope's name, and then he asked if while they were having sex, if in the moment you were looking up at him in the face, you asked him what his real name was, and that was the creepiest line I thought was in the whole movie. She says that never happened, and then she says she doesn't know their names, and then that Pope told her that he was an honest man, and when he asked why he would say that to her, she replied, "Because I asked him if he wasn't afraid of you cheating him." So I guess she cares about him.
Well, he basically was asking her questions so that he could figure out if he was going to kill her or not.
Yeah. Oh, I got that after the fact, because obviously in the plane he was like, "I feel like we should have, But I don't think that he would have actually done it. I think that it was kind of like he wasn't there yet. But I don't know. So they get the plane or the helicopter. Billy implies that they should have killed them. Sorry, Red implied that they should have killed them. William says you don't come back from that, and then they begin to fly over the Andes. Gets to be too much, so they have to drop the interior cargo. That's not quite enough to let them get up from the altitude troubles. They almost make it over, and then one of the gears, I guess, fails in the helicopter, so they turn around. As they're going down, Fish tells them that you have to disconnect the rest of the money or they're going to die. They send Benny to do it, and
he said they can't land with the money.
oh yeah, the money. That's right. Benny disconnects the money so they can try to get up, but it didn't work. Lose control. Helicopter hits the ground. Everyone lives, but they've crashed near a farm, which turns out to be a coke farm. Red wants to try to attempt a peaceful conversation, but it doesn't work out too well. They think that they're the DEA, which I don't see how they would have assumed them to be the DEA, and then even more so with a crashing helicopter. Whatever.
The DEA, a bunch of Americans crashing in a plane with who knows what, right?
Yeah, I guess the helicopter should have been considered useless to them, though. I don't know why they even looked at them as a threat. They weren't trying to be threatening, were they?
Well, not
It was a
really.
family farm, though.
But it doesn't matter in that, like, you know, in those kind of places, it's like, oh, this is on my land. This is mine.
Yeah, that's true too. I'm definitely not thinking as the third world style. After a moment, one of them pulls a knife on Red, so I think he shot first. Red shot first.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a pistol. All the farmers get shot down. The families run over, and then they're quickly led away. One of them's dying. He asks to be sent to God. Shoots him in the head. Um, Red tells them to load up the mules with the money. Then he goes to meet with Pope at the village elder shack up top of the stairs. You find Pope paying him for the mules and for the families. Um, when they leave there, they're walking with the mules, and you find that there's this kid in a yellow shirt that I assume his father was one of the people that was gunned down. He's clearly got a grudge to hold.
He was one of the people that was there, like, holding one of the body, like, the shot bodies on the ground. But I also want to point out here that he is wearing a Brazilian jersey.
I wouldn't
A
have known that.
Brazilian soccer jersey.
I don't know soccer, and I didn't pay attention to what he was wearing besides the bright yellow. To be
Well,
perfectly honest,
that's not the color of a Peruvian soccer team.
fair enough. Um, so as they're passing with the money, you can see him. He's got a grudge for obvious reasons. And then they have to camp for the night, and they are cold camping, which I presume is just getting really bundled up to the best of their abilities and surviving.
Camping without
Um,
camping without like
Heat.
fire so that you can so you don't draw in any attention while you're trying to get rest.
Oh, yeah, I wrote they have to cold camp in the rain to prevent being found. So, as simplified as it can be. Um, Someone says we're dancing with the devil now, and then Fish goes dancing. We were dancing when the plane was going down. This is full on intercourse. Um, Someone says we were warriors. It's hard to remember sometimes. Um, so they start making their way through the jungle again. They have to cross a river. It looks like they're using the mules to stop themselves from being pushed over a waterfall. That's what it looked like, right? Like rapids on the one side, then a waterfall on the other.
It was a river. They were crossing a river. That's it.
Didn't seem like a waterfall at the end of it. I don't know. Maybe I was just overthinking it.
You're definitely overthinking it. They were literally just crossing the river. There was no emphasis on them struggling to get across, having issues, worried that they're gonna fall off. Like,
I
no,
mean, I
they
did see the rapids. I did see
they were
those.
literally just crossing a river. Yeah, it was a strong moving river, but that
Yeah.
again, that didn't play anything with the story. Like that wasn't
No, it had
an
no.
issue.
Yeah. So as they're making their way through the jungle more, they have to go over a mountain pass after they cross the river. Um, and as they're crossing the mountain pass, one of the mules breaks ground below it. It's the last one in the row, and almost takes Fish with him.
Oh yeah, we also
Um,
forgot to mention they tossed off a bunch of bags to try and lose some weight to go over the mountain. So they've
no, I said
already
it. I
so
did say it.
did you say they lost 50 million?
I didn't say the number exactly. I just said they had to throw a bunch of money out from the inside, but it was 50 million.
Okay.
Yeah, I did mention that they threw money out, but I didn't specify the amount. Um, so when the mule falls off the ledge, it like explodes into a cloud of money. Um, Obviously, they weren't going to show a mule blowing up, but they kind of, I guess, emphasized it with all the money flying all over the place.
No, they did not. The mule wouldn't have blown up regardless.
I mean, it was going pretty fast and hard. It could have
I don't know. Have
jumped
you
and then hit
never have you never
rocks.
watched Animal Planet? That's what eagles do.
No,
They pick up their food, drop it down a fucking mountain. It falls down. It doesn't fucking explode. It just all the bones in his body breaks. It gets mangled, and the fucking eagle flies in and eats it. Right?
I've never watched
That's
Animal Planet for the purposes of watching people
unless
eat
unless
or animals eat.
unless the donkey falls straight down and hits solid concrete. That's the only way it's gonna explode. If it's falling down a hill, it's just gonna break bones and shit. That's it. So that's not what it is. It's the money, the bags of money the bags of money just exploded and flew away. That was it. Like
Yeah.
there's no exploding donkey.
I don't know. I saw something about this. I guess this scene was one of the things that was like uncomfortable for people. They get into a fight. Pope blames Red for the situation. Later on, they use a rope pulley system because of a steep climb. They have to let the mules go, so they have to use like a rope pulley system to get the money up the hill or up the mountain. After the money's up the top, Pope and Red are sitting there, and Pope apologizes for being all aggressive and blaming Red, and then he kind of says it's actually his own fault. They all get the money up top, and William's like, it's cold camp time again, and Benny's like, nah, fuck this, and he starts burning money because they've come to realize they can't take it down with them. So they burn a bunch of money. Next day, they go down the hill, and as they're going down, they start getting shot at. Benny gets grazed by a bullet. Then they run off. They spread out, and right after Red kills the one that's taking the long shots, the kid with the yellow shirt comes back for vengeance. As Red turns around and shoots him in the head, and then Red is dead. I honestly didn't
Which
see
I
it
have to
coming.
say, that's some bullshit. Like that, there's no way that kid would have been proficient enough to hit a headshot.
Not like that. No way.
Yeah.
Not faster than him too. Like I mean, he's a
He
trained.
didn't. He didn't react at all.
Yeah,
He,
exactly.
he, no, but that's what I mean, though. He just sat there and looked at him, didn't move. They had all the time in the world to set
No,
up
no,
the.
that's what I'm saying. The whole thing that right there was like it didn't make any sense. He could have easily taken that shot and defended himself.
Yeah, but again, not thinking in the situation, you look up and you're like, "Oh, you got me." That's what it is.
Yeah, well, he got him all right, even though the proficiency of his actual shot would have been in question by many, I suspect. I don't think we're the only ones that think that. Um, Benny then kills the kid right after he shoots Red. They all have a mourning moment. Then they fight. The brothers think that they're each other's at fault, and then Pope reminds them that that was the kid that stopped them. He was basically tracking them down for vengeance. He specifically went after Red. After that, they agree to wrap him up and take him down with them. They don't want to leave his body on the ridge. I mean, that's the military way. You don't no man left behind. So after they wrap up Red's body, they start having to take trips up and down the mountain from the lower end so they can get the money down to the base. When they've all collectively gotten everything down, they come to discover that they're 5 days late for their boat. So Benny volunteers to go and find out if the boat's still there. Um,
And do
and he,
recon.
yeah, to make sure that it's a safe shot to get there and make sure that they can't, that they can actually make it with what they've got. While they're waiting, they talk about the amount of kills they've had, and I feel like they were like the only person that was happy about it was William, although maybe he wasn't actually happy about it. He's just wired that way, but he's the only one that says 43 confirmed. Everybody else didn't give a number. And I think that's I almost
Thought Fish was the one who gave a number.
no, it was William because it was 43 confirmed, and then they brought up with the whole always keeping track of things or always counting. Something like that. It's the second time it's alluded to it. Benny comes back and tells them there's a town nearby, nothing else for like 100 miles after that. But the people in the town are assumed working for Lorea, and they've got teenagers with guns looking for them. But the boat is still there. So they have to figure out if they're going to work their way through the teenagers and just kill them or find another way. And they I think Pope was like, we gotta kill them. We just gotta get through them. We can't leave here now with nothing. And then I think it's William that talks to him and says we can't do that. And
He
then
said
says,
he said we're not leaving here without this money. He said Red died for this money, and we're not leaving without it. And
and then
then
they were like, Red didn't die for the money.
he died because of the money.
Yeah.
That's what Benny said. And then William's freaking out, and then or not William, Pope's freaking out, and then William kind of pulls him aside and talks him down.
Yeah.
So I also want to point out here that William said we can't take the money with us. There's over 100 bags.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's impossible. They didn't even have 100 bags to begin with.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that didn't add up, except for maybe the money added up and then slowly disappeared.
But yeah, they maybe had like 30 bags. Like it wasn't anywhere near 100 bags. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Eh, whatever. I'm not gonna call to question things just yet. There's a time. There's a time when we're coming up to it. They ultimately decide to just bring Red's body and whatever they can carry to get by more easily. They decide to throw the rest of the money in a small canyon to never be seen again. The snow would be coming soon, so it would be lost forever. They make their way towards the boat, and when it's almost dawn, they stop and they send Benny ahead again to meet up with the boat guy. So they send Benny ahead to meet up with the boat guy. Pope says they'll meet up at the cove in 30 minutes. You see Benny confirm that the boat's there after sneaking through the water to get over there. While the rest of the crew is walking through the woods, they come across what looks like an abandoned car, and then a teenager shows up. Well, not shows up, but turns the lights on and catches them and aims a gun at him and says, "I'm gonna call my boss." And Fish is like, "Kill the kid," and they kind of briefly say no. Um, um, they disarm the kid, and then they take the car, but not before Pope gives the kid money in an attempt to have him have a better life. They leave, and just a couple seconds later, they get sideswiped or T-boned almost by another group of kids in a car. While they're stopped, Pope aims the gun at them, and then instead of shooting at the kids, he shoots the motor, try to get them to stop coming. They drive away, and more teens start following them, and Fish is yelling at him to shoot at them, and he hesitates, and then he starts shooting low, trying to hit the motor instead of the kids. They keep chasing him, and then they go through this like farm where there's like dirt and then bush and then dirt, and the kids are on one side, and then the crew's in the middle, and then the kids are on the other side. And then for some reason, Fish drives into them twice, and on the second time, they flip over and explode.
And
Which
he pushed one car into a tree, and it drove into the tree and exploded.
was there a tree?
Yes.
It did like a front flip.
No, it didn't.
It totally did.
No, it didn't. It hit the tree, went up, and exploded.
Oh, it went up? Okay. I thought it did a fall and flip. But it did go up and explode, and that was just insane, because then he killed a bunch of kids.
Yes, but the whole time Fish was yelling, "Kill them, kill them, kill them," the whole time. So Fish doesn't have a problem with killing people, so.
I noticed, even though he was the one that's got a new baby.
Well, it's either him or them. Like when it comes down to those situations, it's, do I want to go home to my baby, or do
Do
I
I want to die?
let these kids kill me?
Yeah, kill her, be killed. I guess I don't know. I probably would still have a difficult time in that situation myself. But
And that's why you're not in the military.
so they jump over the sand dune. There's a car behind them or a truck behind them that's preventing a little bit more fire for a moment. They swim out to the boat, and you get this escape music. They've gotten away.
Well, they drive the car into the water.
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot they did that.
They drive the car into the water. Charlie jumps out, starts shooting at the people, giving them cover. They swim over with the body and get away.
Yep. And then we come to a scene with, I assume, their lawyer or the person that he was talking about earlier in the movie that was going to handle all the money. And after all the expenses and the fees, the final number was the take was 5,340 341,000. No, I wrote the wrong number on there. It was
It's
like 5 million and
basically
change.
one point
It was one million 66,000.
1,066,000.
Yeah, $1,066,824 each. And all they had to do was sign their agreements and then sign the fifth contract to put all of Red's take into a trust. They all elect to instead put their shares also into Red's family trust, so he got everything for his family, and they took nothing. Pope gives them their passports, and so they say some parting words. Then William asks Pope what he's going to do, and Pope replies, maybe he'll go see this girl he knows in Australia. William says, yeah, I heard she just hit it really big. She made out better than they did. Then Pope tells William when he sees Molly and the girls, remind them who he meaning Red was. And he says he will. They hug and part ways. But right before they part ways, William gives Pope that note that you mentioned earlier with the coordinates. And then we got a nice metal music outro. And that is the long, drawn out movie that we just discussed.
Yeah. The movie sucked.
It wasn't as great as I was hoping for. I had much too much optimism for it. I will admit that.
I knew there was a reason why I couldn't remember what happened in the movie, because the movie sucked.
All right. Now it's time for our the good, the bad, and the meh. Since it was my movie, I guess I'll drop my good first because I'm probably going to have a better idea of good than you are. I think you're going to be pretty critical on this one, but we'll see. Maybe we'll be on the same page. My good for this movie was the music. I think was the best part for me. The subtle 3 times or 4 times we had metal music going on. That was really the best part in terms of the good for me and overall.
I'll have to say I didn't even notice any of the music.
Like when they played Metallica in the beginning, I enjoyed that. They threw I forget who the other one was, but it was my usual style of music taste that was played. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So,
For
did you
me,
have a good?
for me, I thought like the acting was good. All in all, the movie was garbage, but the actors did their best. So the acting for me probably was the best. Um, for the meh, I don't know, kind of the plot. I mean, they could have written a much better heist story and whatever. I would have rather seen a lot more, you know, killing of the, drug lords, goons and shit. Like I thought they were gonna do a lot more combat, so like the plot was kind of meh. How about you?
I think I am on board with that. It 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 the fact that it was 2 hours and it took so long to get through it, like it was too full. There was fluff in there that didn't need to be put in. So I think the meh for me was the runtime overall.
Okay. Okay. What about the bad?
The way the movie seemed to have its climax in the middle of the movie, with the whole actual heist being kind of in the middle.
Well, like I've said before, it's not a heist movie.
I know, but they were pulling a heist.
Yes, but the whole plot of the movie is them escaping.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
so the heist isn't the climax.
Maybe it should have been. Because I don't know. I feel like I lost interest after it. You know, I watched it obviously, but it didn't. It lacked an allure. After I kind of would have rathered it have been like you said, like a take down drug lords, take their stuff kind of movie.
Yeah.
So what's your bad?
Um, just the random bickering that literally alluded to absolutely nothing. Like they just were bickering in the movie for no reason. And then again, the lack of action. Um, I would have I feel like they went through some sort of military training during this movie, like the actors and stuff, and they just really didn't use any of it. I would have much rather see a lot more of like the action. But then again, all the random bickering, like the bickering on the mountain with the donkeys, like that was so fucking pointless. They just
Hmm.
stop in the middle of the mountain. Fuck you. No, fuck you. Like a bunch of like little like a
Like
bunch of
children.
little children. Yeah, it's stupid. So that's my letdown scene. Or
Yeah,
not my letdown, that's my bad scene. Like
you're
that's
bad. Yeah,
bad. Yeah.
yeah. I can also agree with that on top of my own.
Yeah.
Um,
So what about
did we like it?
uh no.
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 Agreed. I
You
didn't
are
hate it, but I didn't like it.
you are like 0 for 3, my friend.
I'll find something that you like eventually.
We'll see.
I will. I'll make it a mission. God damn it.
All right, so what's your highlight scene?
I really enjoyed when they actually broke in to Larea's facility. It was really well coordinated. I thought it was. I mean, it was short, but it was kind of clean until the shoot and the leg. So I thought it started off there good, but ultimately I can't say that I actually enjoyed any scene more than that. So
Well, even during those scenes, I was like they should be fucking taking these guys out. Like, oh, they're just,
I'm
knocking them
trying to
out.
find a diamond in the rough. That's that's all.
Yeah. No, I mean
um,
it was fairly smooth entry and everything. I'll give that
yeah,
to them. But
yeah.
I would have rather
That's
seen
the
them, you know, kill
yeah.
people.
I gotcha. No, I agree. It would have been a much more action filled and enjoyable movie. Um, I would be remiss to say that I don't expect a good long answer for this, but what was your letdown?
So my letdown scene is the whole thing where they go into the bedroom and like Buddy just randomly decides to come out of his safe room, and then like he's not even trying to shoot anybody. It's like they like he comes out, they shoot him, and it's just like every other person who gets shot in this movie. They shoot their guns. Like I shoot you and your gun starts going off. So that's to me that's what it seemed like. His gun just went off after they shot him and a stray bullet hit Will, and there was no purpose in William being shot because it played absolutely nothing into the movie except for him to bitch about it like once or twice or look at the fucking wound. So that
Or
whole
go,
scene,
ugh.
yeah, so that whole scene pointless. That was fucking terrible. I don't get it. Like, and why did he stay and why did he come out of the room? That's my whole thing. Why the fuck did he leave the room?
I have no idea. Maybe because he didn't want to lose his money without a fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have picked them off as they came into the room, not wait until fucking 3 of them are in the room and then try and fucking
Gung
peek out
ho
around
through
the
all
fucking
four
corner.
people at the same time.
So
Yeah,
that's
no,
my
I gotcha.
that's my letdown.
That's totally reasonable. So it would be your next week. You're the movie choice for next week. So what do we got?
Okay, so our next movie will be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The new,
Ooh,
yep, the new 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
might be
So
2021, but probably 2022.
I'm pretty sure it just came out
Oh, then yeah, most definitely.
like 2 weeks ago. So
Oh,
yeah,
then even better.
yeah. I have no idea who is in it. I just know that it is a continuation from some point. I'm assuming the original. So yeah. So if anything, catch up on your Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then we're gonna watch the newest one.
Dope, 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 dope.
Yep.
All right. Well, one last thing before we go, as we usually do, we have to promote our friends, the Dynamic Dual Twins, John and Joe. Um, once again, as always, they are the reason we do this. We started listening to them at separate times, but we've come together as a pair because of them. We found them, we've followed them, and we joined their Discord, and we became friends with a really cool group of people as a result. And we definitely wouldn't have met if it wasn't for that Discord.
Especially
So
too, since my loyalties lie with the blue, and yours lie with the red.
Wu Tang ain't nothing to fuck with.
Exactly. Yellow beats red and blue.
Yeah, well that's no argument there. Wu Tang all day.
So, but yeah,
So
but
where can we find them?
definitely go check out their website, dynamicduel.com, and check them out on all social media platforms at Dynamic Duel.
And listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.
Basically.
Yeah. So as always, Zach, it's been real.
For sure. And take it easy, everybody.
Yep.
Deuces.
Deuces.